it's Lisa. I got a full tank and the Queen's in the back, so hop on in and let's hit the road. A roadside attraction is a feature along the side of the road meant to attract tourists. In general, these are places one might stop on the way to somewhere rather than actually being a destination. They are frequently advertised with billboards. The modern tourist-oriented highway attraction originated as a U.S. phenomenon in the 1940s to 60s. When long-distance road travel became practical and popular in the 1920s, entrepreneurs began building restaurants, motels, coffee shops, cafes, and more unusual businesses to attract travelers. Many of the buildings were attractions in themselves, in the form of novelty architecture depicting common objects of enormous size, typically relating to the items sold there. Some other types of roadside attractions include monuments and fictionalized paranormal illusionary amusements. With the construction of the interstate highway system in the 1950s, many roadside attractions were bypassed and quickly went out of business. Some remained attractive enough to divert travelers from the interstate for a brief respite and thus remained in business. These attractions have always fascinated me, so I always look for them whenever I travel. World's Largest Cuckoo Clock, Sugar Creek, Ohio. Featured on the cover of the Guinness Book of World Records in 1977, the world's largest cuckoo clock is located in the center of the Swiss village in Sugar Creek. The clock is over 23 feet tall and 24 feet wide. Every half hour, a cuckoo bird pops out, and then you hear Swiss polka music playing as the band emerges and a couple dances. In 2010, the world's largest cuckoo clock was moved from its old home in Wilmot to Sugar Creek. It was bought by Walnut Creek Cheese and donated to the Swiss-themed tourist town. Its original location was a restaurant named Alpine Alpa, known variously as Cuckoo Clock Capital of America, Ohio's showplace of cheese making, and Ohio's Switzerland Wonderland. In May 2012, the clock was moved to its new permanent location on Sugar Creek's Main Street. Volunteers worked with clock-like diligence to restore the electrical mechanisms and reanimate the little Bavarian figures. The clock resumed its cuckooing duties in November 2012. World's Largest Basket, 1500 East Main Street, Newark, Ohio. Space aliens bending their eye stalks earthward often mistake Newark, Ohio as the center of all world power. After all, it is in this modest city that the humankind has erected the grandest monument to all the highest pinnacle of achievement by an advanced consumer culture, the hand-woven gift basket. This monument is, in fact, the world's largest basket. It was built as the 7-story corporate headquarters of the Longaberger Basket Company. The basket is a replica, 160 times larger, of Longaberger's medium market basket. It's 192 feet long and 126 feet wide at the bottom, spreading to 208 feet long and 142 feet wide at the roofline. It's a magnificent sight. Dave Longaberger, who founded the company, was the business visionary who not only tapped into the demand for hand-woven party baskets, but who dreamed up the idea of running his growing organization from inside of one. Most of his employees, less far-sighted than their leader, didn't take Dave's notion seriously when his plan was announced. Perhaps they believed that the house-sized basket in Dresden, Longaberger's old headquarters, pushed the absolute physical limits of basket-building science. Many were still astounded when they moved into their new home office on December 17, 1997. It had cost Longaberger $30 million to build. World's Largest Gavel, 145 South Front Street, Columbus, Ohio. Sitting in the beautiful park-like setting between the two large justice buildings in downtown Columbus, the gavel serves as the centerpiece of a large reflecting pool. The day that we visited, the grounds were clean, the stainless steel gavel shining, and the pool very clear. It is obvious the city keeps this area well maintained. The giant piece of art was created by Andrew Scott in 2008. A weekend morning is the perfect time to see the big gavel and tour the statues of Columbus. Traffic is minimal and the parking on weekends is free. This is the large metal judicial gavel in honor of the Ohio Supreme Court. In the tidal pool, the words reason, honor, wisdom, and justice are written in steel. Giant Dancing Rabbits, 6305 Warner Temple Road, Dublin, Ohio. Did you know rabbits can dance in Dublin, Ohio? Here's the history of the Ballantrae giant dancing hares and why they're a local favorite. Many locals refer to the dancing hares of Ballantrae Park as the Bunny Hill or Bunny Park. The hares are up to 24 feet tall and were commissioned by the artist Sophie Ryder in 2001 in her hometown of London, England. Rabbits are known for their spring courtship, which is when they stand boxing to claim mates and territory. She crafted the three 24-foot sculptures from metal scrap, including pipes, hammers, and screws, and embedded other everyday household objects in the sculptures to give onlookers a scavenger hunt while they admire her art. See how many things you can find. In the summer, the splash pad located at the bottom of the hill gives the visitors a fun, free activity to enjoy while admiring the public art. These hares are more than just giant sculptures, they're a centerpiece of Dublin. Cornhenge, 4995 Rings Drive, Dublin, Ohio. Corn stalks are notoriously tall, but the ears themselves were never as tall as a human being until the construction of the public art display in the Columbus, Ohio suburb of Dublin. Commissioned by the Dublin Arts Council and completed in 1994, Field of Corn with Osage orange trees consists of 109 6-foot white ears of concrete corn that sprout right from the ground just off the highway. It was designed by artist Malcolm Cochran, a professor of sculpture at The Ohio State University. Molds taken of 3 original sculptures were used to cast ears, which were then rotated to provide a variety of angles, so each cob appears unique to the observer. Castings were done at Cook and Ingle Company, Dalton, Georgia, and each 1,500-pound cob was shipped to Ohio in 4 truckloads. The installation sits on a former cornfield that was worked by farmer Sam Franz. Franz worked with the Ohio State University on the creation of several species of hybrid corn. The sculptures were specifically modeled to look like the Corn Belt dent corn varietal. While the work was meant to honor both Franz and Ohio's rich agricultural past, at first many locals saw the food-shaped concrete as nothing more than an ironic joke. Tax dollars spent to honor food farmers ending up creating inedible food. However, since time went on, the field of concrete ears has become something of a town icon. Locals have held weddings in the field, nearby office workers visit in the winter to play in the snow among the strange sculptures, and most of Dublin now embraces the installation. There is also a deeper symbolism in the corn. As artist Malcolm Cochran put it, there is a serious side to the work as well. My choice of white concrete was deliberate, to mimic in a subliminal way the rows of crosses in Arlington National Cemetery. It is ultimately a memorial to agriculture and by extension to a way of life and a regional identity that has been replaced by corporate office complexes and housing developments. Locals of Dublin and out-of-towners alike are all drawn to that weird field of corn in Dublin. Largest free stamp, East 9th Street and Lakeside Avenue. The world's largest rubber stamp is a conspicuous landmark near the harbor in downtown Cleveland. The story we heard about the stamp is this. Standard Oil of Ohio, later purchased by BP, which merged with Amoco, commissioned artist Klaus Oldenburg to create the 28-foot tall, 48-foot long steel office stamp in 1985. Intended for installation in front of their Euclid Avenue headquarters, the company had a change of management before its completion. The new boss didn't care much for a gigantic rubber stamp with the word free on it, so it was put in storage in a warehouse in Whiting, Indiana. There it sat for 7 years. In 1991, BP Amoco offered to donate it to Cleveland as a grand piece of public art. The city politely refused, noting that they didn't have the funds to install it or to maintain it. Amoco offered to do the job for free, and the rest is rubber stamp history. Largest outdoor chandelier, Cleveland Playhouse Square. Cleveland's Playhouse Square promises evenings of splendor, with each of the district's 4 primary theaters boasting an elegance that reflects a bygone era. But prior to 2014, the street outside failed to fully reflect the grandness that the theater district historic buildings contained. When the chandelier was installed above the intersection of East 14th Street and Euclid Avenue, Some Cleveland officials worried that the GE chandelier, the world's largest outdoor version, would dazzle drivers into accidents. But since May 2, 2014, the light fixture has only increased traffic from curious travelers. From start to finish, the chandelier, which is made of stainless steel and holds 4,200 acrylic crystals, took a year to make. The chandelier designed to require minimal maintenance once installed and is cost efficient for its size. The annual electric bill totals less than $1,000, which is in part due to its LED lights and timer. It is set to go on 1 hour before sundown and stay on until 1 hour after sunrise. At that rate, they only have to change the lights every 10 years. You can look outside any time of day and you will see people taking pictures under it. Some people have hired a cop to close the streets so they can take their wedding pictures under it. Large horse and buggy, Mesopotamia, Ohio. The world's largest horse and buggy stands at the corner of a small park in Mesopotamia, Ohio. The wooden horse and buggy are perfectly proportional to an actual horse and buggy and uses 2,300 board feet of lumber. But this Trojan horse poses no threat to the people of Mesopotamia. The horse and buggy were both conceived and constructed by artist Chris McConnell, a Cleveland Institute of Art sculpture student, with numerous other monumental works of animals around Ohio. Largest teapot. The teapot stands on a manicured lawn between elevated US 30 and its Chester exit ramp. It is 12 feet high and 44 feet wide, and was originally built as a giant keg by Hires Root Beer. It was then bought by David Strickler, who claimed to be the inventor of the banana split, who cut windows and doors into the keg and turned it into a concession stand at a miniature golf course in Latrobe, Pennsylvania. In 1938, it was bought by William Babe Devon, who brought it to Chester, added the spout, lid, and handle, and converted it to the world's largest teapot. Devon was a booster of the region's then vibrant pottery industry and used the teapot to sell teapots as well as snacks and souvenirs. X-Wing Fighter, Kent, Ohio. Mike, the owner of the popular eatery at 1700 South Water Street in Kent, Ohio, appropriately named Mike's Place, explains why the Star Wars X-Wing Fighter stands outside his restaurant. He explains it's there to deter a war from starting. When the rumors of a Bob Evans restaurant was to be built across the street from his place, he became afraid that a food war would start, so he took preemptive measures and bought the fighter in case hostilities started. To date, he reports peace has been maintained, but he still remains vigilant. If you are in Kent, you should stop by the popular eating place. Enjoy a good meal. Look and read all the memorabilia that crowds the walls and outside his unique restaurant. Some are funny, some are irreverent, but all are interesting. May the farce be with you. That's the third installment of Roadside Attractions. As we travel around, we'll keep looking for new and exciting roadside attractions. This is Lisa. Hope we see you again as we hit the road with Lisa. Please like and share and hit the bell to be notified when I post our next adventure.